So, news is coming fast and furious, and I'm not sure what to believe, but this is what I'm hearing. That they want to, the Cambridges that is, the Cambridges are saying that they will pull back these public outings from Prince George because of the trolls and the comments and such being made about Prince George. But it's so weird that they are so concerned that their child may suddenly find himself trolled in social media when this is what's been going on with the Sussex children for a long time. Of course, longer for Archie, but now, starting with the Queen, there seems to be a war against Lily Diana. Her christening, where will she be christened? Will she be christened? Is she in or out of the succession for the throne? I mean, how far does this go? Is she in line for the throne or not? The chances are, the likelihood that she would ever become the Queen of England is like slim to none. But yet, we have to go through this whole exercise of will she or won't she? And of course, that includes, will the Duchess of Sussex make a trip to the United Kingdom for the christening of Lily Diana? I don't know how important this is to the Sussexes, but I would imagine that if one child has been christened into the Church of England, that you would want both of them to have that same tradition. You would want both children to have that same exercise of tradition. Of course you do. Because if you've done it for one, then you probably want to do it for both. Just like when the Queen decided to endow the title of Princess and Prince on the two younger children of the Cambridges, even though that's not the way it's supposed to go. But as the sovereign, she's entitled to do whatever she wants to do. But of course, when it comes to the Sussex kids, she decided that neither one of them should have the title of Prince or Princess. And see, according to that convention of George the whatever, this, of course, is to shrink down the monarchy, right? I mean, I hate to get this all started again, but the Queen can confer the title of Prince or Princess to any of those grandkids. And so it was like assumed, it's like legally that was supposed to happen with George. But with Charlotte and Louis, the Queen intervened to make sure that that happened. And the same with Beatrice and Eugenie. That was an intervention of the Queen. She decided to make that possible. But when it came to the Sussex kids, then only second rate will do. And it's not even an issue of the titles. It's a matter of their birthright, and it's also a matter of being treated as an equal within the family. Because at no point, and for those of you in the Sussex squad who say, oh, well, this stuff isn't important, and yes, it is. Because for the rest of their lives, they are always going to be in this peculiar position of being in and out of that family. And it's the same with Harry. There's no point at which Harry was going to just leave the royal family. An institution and its traditions as big as that, it's just not possible. So Lily Diana and Archie will always be this huge curiosity to everyone. What are they doing? Where are they doing? How are they doing? They're always going to be there. And if you know anything about the tabloid press, they're probably never going to leave them alone. So the only thing that can protect them is their birthright. And hopefully that will be a factor as we move forward to make sure that they receive everything that is due to them. Because they will always be a member of the family. And there will never be a day when people are going to absolutely leave them alone. We can only hope so, but it's just not the case. Not with the British royal family. And as you can see, the Cambridges, the Cambridges are as dull as dishwater. They're like watching paint dry. and they're just not that interesting. And not to disparage anyone, but I don't know that things are going to be that much more interesting for the kids. Now, they're just children, and I'm not going to expand on it any further than that, but you have a choice to make. The predictable outcome of the Cambridge kids, and then you have these cousins in California. Which do you think the tabloid is going to find more interesting? Where will that go? Especially in this hyperbolic age of information that we live in, how do you think that's going to turn out for the Sussex kids? So I say give them whatever they have coming. I mean, you can't force anybody's hand, but don't change the rules. It's just as simple as that. Don't change the rules. Like this whole campaign about the Earl of Dumbarton, that was just a bunch of smoke and mirrors. There's only one Earl of Dumbarton, and that is the Duke of Sussex. There can't be two of those that exist at the same time. So how can you say they refused that title for Archie if the title is not his to take at this time? The only way he gets that title is that we're mourning the loss of his father. And God forbid that should happen anytime soon. That's the only way he becomes the Earl of Dumbarton. So all of this is just lies. These are just flat out lies. They're lying for clickbait. So Lily Diana, whether she's christened or not, she's legally in line for the throne. Now, this whole thing about, well, not necessarily so. Isn't that just convenient? Isn't that convenient? And so then there's this other story associated with that Harry was, going around the Kensington Palace telling people, yeah, we want to have the christening here, right? And we're going to have it in the presence of the Queen. The Queen didn't go to the last christening. I don't think the Queen even went to the other one. So why would she come to this one? Duh. The Queen didn't go to the other christening. Yeah, there was some photos after the fact, but as far as I know, the Queen wasn't even there, and she wasn't planning to go. There's a lot of things with the grandkids that the Queen the Queen does not get involved with. And the Queen, as they say, oh, the Queen is 95 and she just lost Philip. And before that, the Queen is 94. Philip's in the hospital. Well, the Queen is supposed to be so frail and in such a state of aging, but yet when the G7 showed up, the Queen was managed to get her way down to Cornwall, or over to Cornwall, someplace that she's probably hasn't been for years, just so that she could put on this big dog and pony show, which of course is the only thing she responds to. If you just say, oh, there's a dog or pony, Your Majesty, then you can get a smile. But if it's anybody else, the Queen just does not smile. So this thing about Lily Diana is just so bizarre. Where is this coming from? I think it's just, in response to Prince William having such a hard time with all of these things about him speaking out for racism when he's trying to make himself look good. All of a sudden, he's Martin Luther William. But when it was about his sister-in-law, then, of course, mum's the word. He doesn't want to say anything or take a stand. So no statements or anything like that. Only little tepid, raised eyebrows and things that meant absolutely nothing. But he just could not stand up for his sister-in-law. And then, of course, people are saying the reason why he couldn't speak out about it is because he was part of it. So whatever the case may be, this whole thing with Lily Diana is just a bunch of fireworks going off to distract from the fact that William has had one of the worst weeks of his, I don't even want to call it a life, because I'm not sure that he's actually living his life. I think he's just pretty much walking around in a state of fury all the time. The Sussexes are going to be okay. Now, whether or not Lily Diana is christened in the presence of the Queen or in the presence of the royal court, or whether she's not christened at all, I'm assuming that Harry would like to have his daughter christened into the faith, whether or not she's in line for the throne. But you have to understand, Harry is a prince of the blood, and Harry may want his children to appreciate their birthright, to have everything that is entitled to be bestowed upon them given their birthright, and he's justified in doing so. So as Sussex Squad members, let's not decide what's best for Harry and his family. Just like with the naming of the baby, everyone wasn't necessarily thrilled with that name. To be honest with you, I don't really care. I don't care one way or the other what they name the kid. It doesn't bother me that the kid has, you know, some variation of the Queen's name. The Queen's lack of, or I don't even know what kind of response that was. It was so ambiguous, but yet it created so much controversy. But I just don't care. I really don't. And so whatever their birthright brings to them, then that's what I want them to have. And especially if that's what Harry and Meghan wants for the children, then that's what they should have. As Meghan said, their birthright is security. Those titles gives them some type of security in life. And who wouldn't want that for their children? Parents have to make sacrifices all the time for their children. And they also have to grit their teeth about institutions that may necessarily or may not necessarily be, you know, a modern concept. It may be something very ancient, but if it comes with security, then that's what people want for their children, and we don't have a right to judge that. So if the baby is christened, then we know that that's what the parents want. And if not, we are just really lending our voices to all the clickbait. Okay, so time for a little messy. Okay, so there's two birthdays to celebrate today. There's Beauty and the Beast. Now, I won't say which is which, but it's Priyanka Chopra's birthday. and it's also the Duchess of Cornwall's birthday. Now, I'm not going to... Listen, they both have their own inner beauty. And what's on the outside is on the outside. And for some people, what's on the outside look like it's supposed to be on the inside. But, you know, these are both very strong women. And that's why Princess Diana referred to Camilla Barker Bowles as the Rottweiler, because she said it's not only her striking features, which look like somebody struck her, but it's also the fact that she's very tenacious. Once she locks onto something, she just doesn't let go. So she nicknamed her the Rottweiler. Princess Diana had a lot of nicknames for people, and people had nicknames for her. That family is full of nicknames. Like, for instance, because of Princess Markle of Kent, I think her real name is Christian Maria, something like that. Well, it is alleged that her father was a Nazi, and so Princess Diana nicknamed her the U-boat captain. That's all. It was just in fun. Now, just so you know, the U-boat captain, she didn't really like Princess Diana, and she said some really nasty things about her after she died. I won't even go into it, but it was not kind. And then, of course, let's take, for instance, the Queen's mother. She used to have a nickname. The Duke and Duchess of Windsor referred to her as Cookie. And why did they call her Cookie? Well, I think it was because she was kind of short and stout, and I wouldn't say she was a homely person, but she was not the most glamorous woman in the world. She was glamorous for like a canasta game, but not really anything else. But so they called her Cookie. And I think it's because she kind of looked like Mrs. Patmore from Downton Abbey. And then there's others that had nicknames in that family, like, for instance, the Duke and Duchess of Windsor nicknamed the Queen Shirley Temple. That's pretty self-explanatory, so I won't go any further. I'm sure you can figure that one out. So they've had nicknames over the years. So calling Camilla Barker Bowles the Rottweiler, that was Princess Diana's little sign of affection for her. I'm sure she it says a lot, doesn't it? So it's Camilla's birthday, and Priyanka Chopra, I didn't know much about Priyanka before doing a little research, but now I'm just like a big fan of hers. So happy birthday, Priyanka. Or should I say Priyanka Chopra Jonas. That's what she prefers people to call her. But in closing, I have to say this about the Duchess of Sussex. Meghan Markle became a part of that family somewhat 3 years ago. And you can try to blame her if that's what you choose to do because of these falling outs with the family. But when you marry into that family, it's pretty evident that you have to marry for love, because if not, you're really wasting your time, because there's not much of that you'll find from your extended family when you marry into the Windsor clan. And so the Duchess of Sussex, I'm pretty sure, this is just my own opinion, I have not had this validated anyplace else, I think she was hoping that she and Harry, because they loved each other and because they had so much in common, that they could use their platforms to really engage with the world to help bring about a lot of social changes to communities within the Commonwealth. And I believe that that was promised to them. And then once they showed their star power and demonstrated how much love and affection there was for them, then the rest of the family immediately got very jealous and decided, we're going to have to tear them down. We can't have them out there being stars in this family. They're taken away from the principals, and that's just not allowed. And it's just unfortunate because, the Cambridges are just so dull. They are so dull. And they seem to put on a great show when they're out and about, but they just don't seem so engaged with each other. Now you could say, well, that's their set point and that's just their personalities, but it's not satisfactory with most people, not even the press, because this need to reinvent and revigorate their partnership by showing them as being more Sussex than the Sussexes just goes to show that they know that there's a deficiency there. And right now they have the Sussexes to pick on. They are trying to deflect from their own inadequacies by going after the Sussexes, when the truth is, once you are not able to latch on to the Sussexes for sustenance in this depleting, dying public image of theirs, this image that is withering on the vine, then they're going to have to really just be satisfied with them. They're just going to have to be satisfied with what these Cambridges are. You're going to have to find satisfaction in their very dull, dreary, unpolished personalities. They're cold, matter of fact, they're just I think it's like watching water boil. It really is. And it's no fault of their own. It just, they are the people that they are, and there's nothing that they can do about it. And they're just boring, and people know it. And even though they have this glitzy campaign to try to add some kind of spark, it's not going to work. It can't work, because that's not who they are. You know, Princess Diana, for what it's worth, Princess Diana did not have a lot of education. But what she had was drive and perseverance. And she knew that being the ex-wife, or even being the wife, separated from the Prince of Wales. And sadly enough, even while they were married, she had to go her own way. Because no matter what she did, there was nothing that was going to enhance that connection with the Prince of Wales. So as Princess of Wales, she had to go her own way, and so she did. And so she decided to enlighten herself and to make herself useful. If I'm going to have this title, if I'm going to have this privilege, then I have to do something with it. And that's exactly what she did. And so to those who have so much is expected, however that phrase go. And so that's exactly what she did. She decided to go out of the palace, just like the movie Sister Act. You know, they said the people in the neighborhood need us. We can't just stay in this monastery praying, or whatever they call those places where the nuns are. We can't just stay here and pray. We have to go out there, because the people out there, outside these walls, they need us. And that's a principle that we can all use and exercise in our lives, is that we have to go out and help humanity. We can't just sit behind our keyboards and click about it. We have to get involved with the community. We have to go outdoors. So it's a lesson that we could all learn. It's just amazing how incredibly wise the Princess of Wales, Princess Diana, it's just so amazing how wise she was, and she never got the credit for it when she was alive. But I think now we can see it clearly through Prince Harry, that people need that common touch. And sometimes it has to come from the least likely person, that of course being a prince or princess of the realm, to remind us that individually we're all so important in this world. We all have a role to play. So that's it for today. Thanks.